Hello everyone, welcome back to PommyInOz. It's sad this is the last preview for the year. It's been a weird old year as well, hasn't it? But if you are new around here, welcome to you. Thank you for joining me and finding the channel. Please give us a like and a sub, it means absolute the world to me. And if you are a returning PommyInOzer, g'day to you, it's great to have you back. We're in I don't even know what lockdown we're in now. Is it 8? 7? I don't even know how you class them. It just feels like a continuity. So, I mean, this has been a really good thing. Firstly, I just want to say it's been a huge thing for me just doing these with you guys and girls. It's really helped me through. I've had some rough times this year and it's been great just having your love and support. Just you in the comments. It really does. I can't say it enough, but it really, really goes a long way. I really appreciate it. And I've had some wonderful messages saying that it's helped them out through lockdown, and I find that just balmy that you lock down and you want to listen to me, but that's great. I mean, it does fill my heart with joy. I can't tell you how important it is. And I'm sorry we haven't had the greatest year of football and we can't drink the Kool-Aid together. We've had more angry prom than I'd like. But I just want to say hats off to all of you. Absolute legends in my book. And thank you, really, from saving me from myself at times. So, talking about saving ourselves from ourselves... Is that English? Who knows? We've got GWS, haven't we, this week? Carlton B, as I like to call them. 10 wins and 10 losses as GWS. And yeah, they've had a topsy-turvy year too. I mean, it's like the old Gattuso thing. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit. And that is what they've been. It's interesting, this one, because David Teague, well, I'll say it's David Teague. Who knows anymore who's pulling the strings at Carlton? It's a weird team selection for this one, I've got to say. Let's just talk about that. The big out being Paddy Down. Now, I find this kind of bizarre, I have to say. Last game of the year, really, absolutely nothing to play for other than we say goodbye to the great Eddie Betts. And I'm just surprised you'd admit him, because I think the guy needs a bit of continuity. Yeah, okay, last week he wasn't great, but I don't think any player was, apart from Walsh. So, I mean, I personally don't get it. But I don't pick the teams. I think when you look at how GWS play, they're very good around the contest, very around the centre area. Now, Fogarty has been good at times. He's another one that's kind of been hot and cold as well. He's kind of been like Carlton's season. Has its moments, but then it doesn't. And I would have personally rather see Dow here. I think this is a game for Dow. It's a time where the ball is going to be around the stoppages and the centre a lot. And the way that GWS play is they play very in close, very clean hands, very chains. And the way that you beat them, the methodology that you beat them, is you've got to slow that down. When you give them something to think about, you really close up space well. You take away the run and short option and make them kick and play slow. You've seen what happens. They are very susceptible, particularly to repeat inside entries. And that is going to be key in this game. Pressure is going to be really important. And as I'm saying it, I'm laughing because I'm like, Jesus. But it is really paramount in this game because GWS, once they get a bit of a control of the footy, a bit of the feel of the footy, you're always fighting a losing battle with them. They're really tough to stop once they get that free-flowing movement. And it's a little bit like what Carlton do. When Carlton play that free-flowing movement, they're really good. Now, they've got structure to play slow and short and showing slow and long. Carlton really don't have that structure off the ball. But that is their one area of vulnerability. And I would have liked to have seen Dow because I think that when you look around their centre clearance, and we'll just take an example here, the full report of this is available on the Blue Abroad website. I have got a link in the comments because I have no idea how to put a link in the top bar there. If you do know how to do that, that'd be grouse. And this is how roughly they will set up, I would suspect, in the centre clearances. And I'll give you a bit of an example of what happens. So you can see they genuinely tap it to their feet. And what Hopper does is he gets there first and he looks to offload that handball. And invariably, you saw Ollie Wines do this last week. He'll handball it and he uses his body to stop the man there, which then creates space for the handball option from Ward to Taranto. And then you've got the intersect runs from Kelly and Perryman, who's listed at the moment. And they kind of intersect like that, and the handball goes forward. to that intersect run, and off they go, and they look to go down these avenues here. As we can see the ball movement, they really look to take it on the wings, and you can see why, because a lot of players float through there. You've got Whitfield floats through there, Kelly, who we've talked about, Kennedy floats through there, Cummings sometimes goes up there as well. Lots of really good ball users and players that are real savvy. You've got Tanner Braun as well, who slots across the half forward and goes there. And they play really at pace, and it's a real 1-2 punch type game if you watch them do it. And they spread really well. When you watch GWS, they have many ways to skin a cat, and it's a really interesting avenue of attack for them. They're a really tough team to really get a feel on, because they've got many strings to their bow. They're kind of like what am I thinking of? I remember when my pop was in palliative care, there was this really old cantankerous man who was the maintenance guy. And like, he did the electrics, he did the plumbing, you know, he was a handyman. And he was like, they're kind of like that, you know, not a specialist in one thing, but kind of good at everything. There is an analogy there, and I can't think of it, and I am the king of analogies. But they're really versatile in the way they play. Now, one thing that I want to talk about is their backline. Now, their backline is really, really strong. And when it's going their way, you really see what they do well. Now, they kind of play a weird style of that. They try and isolate Haynes. Now, Haynes, their man for intercepts. Now, we talked last week extensively about Aliyah and how Carlton are really susceptible to laying into these traps for strong interceptors. And boy, oh boy, did they really impress me with their ability to not pick him up. Now, they do something real similar. Now, what they do is when they do cause the turnover, they look, when the ball's on the deck, to really run, and the midfield drops back to help out, to give them outlet balls. And the whole aim is to try and get Haynes free, because he's their exit specialist. Not only is he their ability to ping and intercept, but he's also their rebound specialist as well. And it's a really interesting movement, because you'll see quite a lot of short handballs, and then that switch comes, and that's when they go. So they'll look to kind of like lull you into a false sense of security. So if the ball was here, Haynes will leave here in this like little contested area, and then a few handballs will happen, and bomb, they try and get him in the clear. Usually it's a kick to fullback, then kick out to him, and then it's off you go. And they really attack through that corridor and really look, and then they've got the overlapping runs. It's kind of like a really 1990s Manchester United overlap with their wing backs in Gary Neville and Dennis Irwin. God, I'm going way back there, I'm showing my age. But it's kind of like that a la style. And it's really short and sharp, and it really relies on clean ball movement, being strong in them contested situations, which takes the contact. Their midfield does this a lot. They're looking to take the contact and take two players out of the game to then offload with a handball and get out in the clear. And that is how they move the ball. It's very systematic and very quick. And they're looking to draw players in and look for them pockets of space around. And it's going to be a really interesting game, this, because these are the kind of avenues that Carlton really do struggle with. Now, what Carlton can do here is you've got to be wise. You've got to really lock them in. One thing that their defence and their backline does struggle with is their ability to handle pressure and repeat entries. As you can see on that slide that we showed you, tackles against, when they were going really poorly, it was the most against inside 50. Now it's only the 6th most. That's a huge shift in them rounds pre-bye. And they've really, really refined this. Obviously, they've had players come back, but they've really refined their shape and their structure around that. So Carlton have got to really pressure up forward, and you've got to be really onto it. Durden's going to have a really huge role here, and so is Honey. That pressure that they bought for large stages of the Port game is going to be really paramount here, because if you start to get these guys comfortable, particularly your Idons, your Ashes, your Cummings, and Haynes in particular as well, if they get a lot of the ball, and they can float Whitfield through here as well. He'll float all around in these areas where they're struggling to exit. If they get comfortable with the ball early, you're in spells of trouble. It's about keeping them a bit indecisive and giving them... Finally, we'll talk about the forward line. And we talk about the cheat code, and Toby Green kind of invented the cheat code for Carlton. So you can see he kind of operates on that right-hand side, or he'll come in from the left-hand side. And what Green will do is he'll look to move in to the 50 and then double back out. And what this does is it causes havoc with the zones. You because Himmelberg will intersect him. And on that entry, you invariably see him pick up the ball just on that outside of 50. And this is where he's dangerous because he's a very, very crafty footballer. He's got the ability, as he showed against Carlton, to bomb one long at the goals. He's also very creative at finding Hogan and particularly Himmelberg in that switcheroo kind of thing. Switcheroo, that's a great word. Switcheroo. So I really want to keep an eye out on him. And that is going to be a really tough job for someone. And I think with Toby Green, he's always one of them players that I look at and he's awkward. Now, I think with this, Carlton will probably put Lachlan Plowman on him. Now, is that a great move? I just don't know. Me personally, I'd put Stocker on him. But I think they'll go with Plowman. History says he will. And I can see why, because he does stay tight. But I think you need, when you play him, you need someone who anticipates. And someone, if they don't anticipate, they're going to be there at the fall of the ball. And that's where Toby Green, I think, comes unstuck. But there's a little bit of pressure on him. And he's getting into that physicality because he enjoys the physicality. And I think it almost distracts him almost somewhat if he's got a little bit of pressure on him, a little bit of a niggle. And I would like to see Stocker on him. I think they'll give it to Lockie Plowman there. I think that could be a disaster for Carlton because it was the first time we played him this year. But I look at that, and that is something I want you to look out for, the cheat code. He'll run in, and he'll run back, and in that space he's created, Himmelberg will come in. And two things will happen. The defender will either follow Plowman or get distracted by Himmelberg coming in, and then suddenly Himmelberg's got 2-on-1, and it's an easy little chip up pass to Green, or the defender will follow and Green because he's dangerous, and Himmelberg will have an easy one out there. So it's a really interesting thing. Now what Carlton have got to do is really play that short handball game well. Look to overlap and look to pressure. Look to attack that corridor, particularly on transition, because that is where they're susceptible, and really lock the ball in these entries, these stoppages. It's about keeping it in there for as long as possible and leaving with 6 points. Something we haven't done all year, but something that they're going to have to start doing it. How they'll play, I don't know. There's so much going on. Teague, is he in? Is he out? Who knows? I don't know anymore. I think he is though, but the club are very good at doing it. I think this is going to be a tough day at the office though. I've got a horrible feeling that this could be GWS by 50 plus. And we're going to say farewell to Eddie in a horrible way. If you do have a chance, check out the Blue Rod video. I got to sing to Eddie, and I'm hoping for a really good game. So I'll be supporting this. I'll be doing the live, and I'll just be praying for Eddie Betts to keep 4, and I might leave. But it's been a tough year. It's been a tough year, and it's sad to think that we're going to lose potentially by a margin. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not very confident in this one. But honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for supporting. We'll be doing loads of content in the off-season anyway. Don't worry, I'll still be around. And we'll do a bit more fun stuff, a bit more light-hearted stuff, and have a bit of fun together. But if you do want to get involved, have a bit of banter, you've got an idea, I'm open to ideas. And that'll be great. But honestly, stay safe in lockdown if you are in lockdown. If you're not, I'm jealous. But much love. Pom out.